Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back here with a Kai'Sa supplementary guide, and today we're going to be taking a look at AP Kai'Sa. So now looking at the top couple of players, obviously no one is really going for AP Kai'Sa because on-hit Kai'Sa is generally the best build. However, in circumstances where your team is lacking AP, of course playing AP Kai'Sa is one of the ways that you can go. Of course there are a lot of other AP options like Varus for example, or even going for an AP mage bot, seeing as mages are in a good spot right now. But without further ado, let's hop straight into discussing the items. So Kai'Sa, obviously, best item to start off with is going to be Terminus. Now Terminus, despite not really being an AP item, gives you, AD, which you still, of course, make very good use of as an ADC, attack speed, magic damage on hit, and then you have stacking defenses as well as stacking penetrations. Now stacking defenses on Kai'Sa is particularly helpful because if you get into long skirmishes, those extra bit of defensive stats can come in very handy. Obviously the penetration is going to come in real handy later on, and also of course, as we all know, magic items only really give 7% penetration, and you can get up to 40%. So Terminus already gives you an automatic 33% magic penetration, which is gonna again come in very handy later on. So once again, despite going for an AP build, you can actually still go for the Gluttonous Greaves in the early game because the Omni-Vamp is going to of course work on your AP damage later on as well, and the early AD is very helpful. And then you go into your first AP item, which is going to start off as an AD item, which is going to be Nash's Tooth, giving you ability haste as well as attack speed. Of course, you get the on-hit magic damage with skills off of both AD and AP, so it does scale off of the AD you get from Terminus and Gluttonous Greaves as well. But of course, it also scales off the AP that you're going to build later on. So when you get your next item, Riftmaker, is when this turns into an AP build. So of course, Nash's Tooth is going to give you 30 AD initially, but when you get Riftmaker, it's going to become 60 AP instead. So with the Riftmaker, of course, you get a ton of AP, your ability haste, and Magic Pen, putting yourself up to the cap of 40%, a little bit of health, Omni-Vamp, which comes in very handy for Kai'Sa who generally are in long fights, and then you get the Void Corruption passive just to deal that extra true damage over the course of the entire fight. Now, since this build is pretty much auto attack focused, the best next item to go for, in my opinion, is going to be Runan's Hurricane. Now, some people do like to go for Death Cap next and then go for either a defensive item as a last option or go for something like Horizon Focus or Infinity Orb as a last option. Personally, I think that going for more attack-based build, even though you're building APs, is better. So with Runans, you do get another 35% attack speed. Of course, most importantly, you attack 3 people simultaneously, allowing you to proc your passive onto 3 people at once, which of course works very well with your AP build. And then you also get another 40 AP and on-hit physical damage. And finally, since you already have so much AP, Death Cap is going to be your last option here, just to give you that final big boost of AP. Now, for the runes, Lethal Tempo, since you're still pretty auto attack focused despite the fact that we're building AP, and with that in mind, obviously we have Brutal because you auto attack a ton, Giant Slayer to counter the tanks, Alacrity just for the extra attack speed, as well as Bone Plating for the defensive capabilities. Now for the spells, honestly Kai'Sa has a ton of options. You want to go for Flash, you can take Cleanse if there's a lot of CC, Barrier and Exhaust are amazing options as well. Some people even take Ghost, although I don't really recommend it. So if you guys want to know a little bit more about that, I'm going to put a video up in the cards right now, which is a guide on ADC Summoner Spells, so do check that out if you want to. With all that said, now let's hop into the gameplay. Okay, so now let's hop into our gameplay. Now, as you guys can see from the length of the video, or the remaining length of the YouTube video, this is going to be a pretty long one, because this match does go on for a long while. So, in this game, we are playing with an engaged support, which in my opinion is the best type of champion to play Kai'Sa. Best type of support to play Kai'Sa with. Now here, Flash Engage goes in from the Leona, and Vayne basically is caught in a pinch. Maokai is out of position to help her, so Vayne instantly cleanse flashes. So this is basically a very common level 1 tactic used by engaged supports that was very common last time when Hex Splash was OP, but still works well even now when Hex Splash is not as strong as it once was. Right, so basically the strategy is, as support, you have Hex Splash, right? So your Flash is less valuable than the ADC. I mean, in general, support Flash is less valuable than ADC anyways, because obviously the flashes on the carries are generally the most important. So the idea here is, if you trade Flash for Flash with the enemy ADC, and you have Hex Splash, it's going to be doubly worth it, because not only have you gotten the carry's Flash, but you also have your own mini Flash, which is the Hex Splash up. So here you can see Vayne doesn't have flash or cleanse anymore, so I'm just basically running her down. I cleanse her exhaust, right? And now I'm just blasting the Maokai. Now Maokai has no DPS here, so he's just letting me free stack my lethal tempo on him. And here I almost am up to full stacks. I get the full stacks onto him, I get the kill. I have full stack lethal tempo now, which Vayne does not. So here I win off of having more lethal tempo stacks. Now honestly, you guys saw right there, I had actually lower health compared to her. I see Morgana coming down, I'm hightailing it out of there, but I had lower health than her, right? So number one, obviously, because of her running away, I had the minion push, right? So I had a little bit of a minion advantage, so minions were helping me out a little bit more. But furthermore, as I mentioned, I had my lethal tempo fully stacked on Maokai, whereas she only attacked Leona maybe 2 to 3 times before Leona died, so she did not have a full stack lethal tempo. So we simply win in a straight up auto attack battle against the Vayne, and we score 2 very early kills, for our team. Now here we can see Poppy is in the area, probably hiding the tri-bush, actually going to invade the Pantheon. Now with our wave so far pushed, Vayne is freezing, and this is one of the weaknesses of freezing, which is, look here, Vayne and Maokai are not moving. Here we can easily rotate onto the Poppy. Poppy tries to flash over the wall, but our auto follows her, and we get another freebie from the Poppy. Now I have no idea what Poppy was doing there. If she paid attention to her bot lane's wave state, she would have seen that the wave was frozen outside their tower. Maokai here engages on me after we've just killed them and I've gotten 2 kills. So here I'm manual focusing the Vayne. So here we get the kill onto Vayne. Now Maokai is running away. I don't think we can get him, but we do force his flash, which is pretty huge. So now I'm just going to clear up the rest of the wave. I'm low on HP and I can obviously reset to buy items, having 2 more kills before even the 3-minute mark. So amazing start to the game. Now 1k gold up on the Vayne. I'm just getting my components for Terminus and just working towards it. So that's one of the big weaknesses of freezing, which is obviously if Poppy just tries to invade like that when her team has no priority at all, the 2 enemy laners or enemy laner, if it's like the mid lane or the top lane, can simply rotate over and ruin your day with an odd numbered fight. In this case, it's a 3v1 and Poppy even blew her flash and still died anyway, so it's just not a good look. So here now I'm very confident. I have like a huge item advantage against the Vayne. Just a lot more in stats. So here I'm just stepping up because I really don't care if Maokai engages on me. I'm assuming that Poppy is now on the other side of the map, because the fact that she came in to this side of the map to invade normally means she cleared her side of the map already, so she probably is going to go to the other side. Now Vayne here once again gets kind of baited by the Leona, and here I'm ulting over just to go for the Vayne. I'm just blasting her, manual targeting the Vayne once again, because once again Maokai doesn't have the most DPS. So here we killed Vayne once again, and yes, just score another kill. We walk into a Maokai sapling, but thankfully we do have enough health to survive that. So now we're 5-0. Here in comes Morgana. So here, I know Morgana's Q is going to kill me, obviously. So I'm going to have to flash that. Now, I know Morgana has used all her spells, which is why I'm walking up for the fruit there. She ulted Leona, she missed her Q on me, and she W'd right at the very beginning. So she's not going to be in range to auto, so we can simply walk up and just take those fruit and survive. So now we back, complete Terminus, get the evolution, and then get back out on the map. So another thing I should mention that I didn't really mention too much in the build section of the video is that Kai'Sa has the ability to build defensive boots if you want to, because you already have your first item Terminus rushed, right? So you can't afford to actually spec into defensive boots if you are into a very heavy AP or AD team. Now in this case, it's quite an even mix, more skewed towards AP because Singe and Morgana does do AP damage, Poppy and Maokai are tanks, and Vayne does true damage anyways, so building armor against her is not going to be the most effective. So we're in obviously a very beautiful spot, 5 kills in 5 minutes. Couldn't really have gone any better. We can see 3 people are at the top lane killing Pantheon, and this basically leaves us in the isolated 2v2 with Vayne and Maokai, which obviously, as we know, we will smoke them if they come anywhere close to us. So we're not overly worried here. Huge fight breaking out over the Herald, but once again it's a 2v2. Neither support is rotating, and obviously the ADCs are staying in lane to just farm. So here I'm trying to bait them to engage onto me. So here I decide to try to recall on the spot to try to bait Maokai to engage onto me, but he's not really falling for it. However, they do actually end up stepping up. The slow connects, Maokai engages onto me, and I'm just blasting the Maokai. They use everything on Leona basically, and Vayne is ulting. Poppy though is now on the way down, so we don't want to overextend the fight because we are gonna get caught in a 2v3 or even 2v4 with Morgana also on the rotation. So my team is kind of not really in position to help us, and also there's 4 members of the enemy team on the dragon at the moment, so it does appear that the enemy team is probably gonna get it. That, by the way, guys, if you guys saw the minimap just now, there was a very funny interaction where Maokai W the Pantheon at the same time that the Poppy ult hit. So Maokai flew all the way with Pantheon flying back from the Poppy ult, and that was pretty funny, although Maokai was in no real big trouble from that, but that was just really comical. So here we can see 4 members of the enemy team mid. I was thinking of rotating, but then I realized I can simply just blast the tower. So Zed has created a lot of pressure top by just pushing in all the way to tier 2. Now he's gotten the recall, and he's in no danger at all. In the meanwhile, 4 enemy members are mid or maybe heading to top, and they've left bot unattended. So here we still have all the plates up, and we're actually just farming plates off of this tower. Now, we can see Morgana showing mid, we have Poppy and Singed at top, so at most, again, we're gonna be against the Vayne and the Maokai, and we already know who wins that one. Speaking of which, Engage goes in onto Vayne, I ult into the backline, it's a free kill onto the Vayne, it's not even close. Now I'm just blasting Maokai, avoiding the roots. Maokai's gonna die sooner or later, getting CC'd here. Now Morgana's coming in, I'm just gonna flash over the Morgana, kill the Maokai first, and then go for the Morgana afterwards, but unfortunately she has a tier 2 tower to retreat to, so we're not really going to be able to get her. Either which way, this match is going swimmingly for us at the moment. We have the most goal in the game by a country mile, being 7-0. The enemy team spot us here, so we're only going to counter jungle the Gromp here. We're not going to get too greedy and counter jungle the blue buff as well. So, yeah, the only person who's really even close to us is Zed, who's also on our team, who has almost the same amount of gold as me, but with only 2 kills and an assist. But also he's starting Serraldas, which is pretty strange, but either way, my team is in an amazing spot. Collectively, we have like a 6k gold lead or so on the enemy team, and majority of that lead, of course, is from Zed and myself against our lane counterparts. Actually, you know what? Morgana is also almost the same goal as Zed. So Morgana is obviously doing the best on the enemy team, and probably is going to be the main problem for us if we get to the mid and late game, where she's going to have scaled with her items and is going to be very strong. Right? Morgana in general in the early game is not overly strong. I mean, she does have her Q for picks, but her W in the late game will be insane. Right? So here a fight breaks out as I'm trying to recall for my Nashor's Tooth. So here I'm just playing very safely in the backline. Obviously I have a 7 kill shutdown and I don't want to give that away. So here I'm really just blasting whoever is the closest target to me. I'm not ulting the backline or anything like that. I'm just going for the tanks who are in the front line. Now that I have an opportunity, I ult into the backline. We're only going to be able to get the Poppy, though, because she does shove me away from the Morgana, so Morgana is going to be safe for the time being. And now I've kind of had enough, right? It's not a good idea to dive the Morgana, so I'm just going to get a reset and complete my Nashor's Tooth as planned, and since we got that extra, you know, kill and assist, we're going to be able to get an additional Amp Tome as well, now building towards our Riftmaker. So as I mentioned, for now we're still an AD champion, but we're very close to the point that we're converting into AP already. As you can see, my team has absolutely no AP whatsoever. It's only going to be me who's building AP, and of course Leona passive is actually a decent source of AP as well, so we also have that. And the enemy team is pretty tanky. They do have Singe, Poppy, and Maokai, so having a damage mix is actually very, very important, because if we go into full AD, this will be pretty problematic, unless we're playing like Vayne. Right, but Vayne already got picked by the enemy team, which is actually what I wanted to pick. So here Poppy is on top of me, I have to cleanse out, and here I'm just blasting once again the closest target. I'm trying to kill Poppy, but she's pretty tanky. I have to ult back for the shield. Maokai, really low, but I'm going to back off here and pick up the fruit, so that I don't just end up dying there. And then now, Pantheon's getting chased. I'm trying to one-shot the Vayne here, but unfortunately I don't really get the one-shot, and in fact, she almost survived her. Thankfully, the red buff picks up the kill, but unfortunately, I've made a grave mistake, and that mistake is letting Morgana kill me and getting my shutdown. Right? Honestly, killing the Vayne is not worth it, right? Because I've just given like probably close to 1,000 gold to Morgana, their most played member of the game by far, and now she even has more gold than me. Like, you look at Morgana's gold, she has like 300 more gold than me and Zed, and Vayne is like what, like 3k gold behind me. So like greeting so much for a kill onto Vayne and giving the shutdown to Morgana is not worth it. If it's the opposite way around, arguably it's still not worth it, because if you give Vayne a 1k gold bounty, and she can maybe get back into the game with that money. So yeah, probably when you're this far ahead like I am, it's not really worth it to take any risky plays, which is kind of, actually honestly I knew that, which is kind of why I didn't consistently ult into the backline and play super aggressive on the past couple of fights. I actually mostly used my ult for the shield in the past 2 fights, because I really didn't want to put myself in unnecessary danger. So here, we have a fight at the dragon kind of breaking out. We're just once again blasting the closest target. However, as you can see, we're in the spot of bother here with the singed puddle on us. Thankfully, we are able to escape the puddle, out for the shield, and flash over for the kill on Poppy, although Zed also flashes, so really, it's one of those classic situations where both carries blow flash for the same kill, and it's just not worth it. But once again, it's really hard to communicate with your teammate who's gonna flash, so very common thing in solo queue, not gonna think too much about it. This does, however, secure us the dragon, so we do get the denial of the dragon soul from the enemy team. And here I'm going into the enemy jungle just to counter jungle a little bit. Only Morgana is, alive and missing from vision. Of course, respawns are coming through, but obviously they're all in base. We see Vayne in top, so not too scared of 1v1 against a Morgana. I'm pretty sure even though Morgana is insanely fed, she does not win 1v1 against a fed Kai'Sa, so no real big problem there. So here I believe I have enough gold for Riftmaker, so I'm gonna get a base and pick that one up. There we go, getting the W evolve, the final evolve, of course. And even though we're building AP, I did max Q, E, and then W, because obviously, as I mentioned, when you get your third item is when you become an AP champion, which is why I level or evolve W the last. And of course, Q evolve first is always logical, with E in between, making the most sense here. So here, Mundo is super duper overextended, so he is chasing Vayne all the way under the tier 2 tower. Gets the kill on him, but the whole enemy team is kind of collapsing on him at the moment. We're trying to see if we can actually help out, but I think this may not be a very good idea. Now, Maokai is kind of zoning us off the fight. However, I'm not so easy to zone off of the fight, right? Maokai is getting murdered by me because I am really, really fat, and you cannot simply just tank my damage for free, right? So here I have very short range all onto Morgana trying to kill her, but unfortunately here, or fortunately, I guess you could say, I do get the kill on Morgana. Unfortunately, I believe Morgana once again got the kill on me. And the dive was a little bit messed up because the tower was aggroed onto Leona for a long time, charging up the tower's damage. And then Leona dropped the aggro, and the aggro went onto me, giving me the increased damage and blasting me into high heaven. So down I go once again, I believe giving another kill to Morgana. So this time, I've picked up my enchant. I am taking the stasis, just in case I get caught out without my cleanse or without my flash, without a way to get out. I mean, honestly, I had cleanse and flash up, on that dive, but I just wasn't expecting the tower damage to kind of be so insane. Because I didn't even expect to get tower aggro to begin with, so didn't use any of it, and I did just end up dying. Not very ideal. So here I'm just checking Baron, see if they're doing it. They are not, so no big deal there. But yeah, so we have kind of scaled into the late game already, but as you can see here, me and Zed both have about even gold. We're both 3 full items completed. Morgana, on the meanwhile, 3.5 items, has about 1k gold more than us, which is really problematic. Now here, I just want to start the Baron and do it. Like, we have Mundo split pushing. Why are we not just doing the Baron? Why are Leona and Zed just hiding in here and looking for a pick? There's no need to do that. Like, we can simply just do the Baron, get a free Baron, and then just use it to, do something. But here, I don't know how Poppy and Singe end up there, but we end up in a 4v4 basically. And here I'm trying to get into position to do any kind of damage, and it's not really working out. So it's really, really messy fight. I'm getting zoned off by the wall. I managed to ult to kill Singed, and Pantheon ult is coming in. Poppy is now on the chase for us. Now, I'm poorly positioned here by going near the wall, but somehow she tackles Pantheon instead of myself, and I'm able to kill her. And then here Morgana actually makes a mistake as well by using all her spells onto other people. I flash forward, get the kill on her, and then we obviously can kill Vayne pretty easily. And despite not going for what I believe the optimal play was, which is to just go for Baron, we end up winning the fight anyway. So pings are coming down for attacking the Nexus, but the issue is, it's only 15 minutes into the game, so we don't yet have the we still have the Nexus shield on the enemy Nexus, right? So this means we have to go through the Nexus twice with Singe coming up in 5 seconds. It just simply is not gonna happen. Like, just look at this. Like, we can kill the Nexus once, right, by removing this shield. Like, even with Singe there, we can kill the Nexus once, but we can't kill it twice. So here we make a mistake by overstaying. Leona dies, and as does Pantheon, with Dragon, spawning, and Baron up. That's not very ideal. We do at least, get the inhib, the top lane inhib from this. Weird push, I guess you could call it. But that's definitely a very suboptimal chain of events for us. So I don't like what just happened there. So anyways, yeah, this game is it's kind of like we have a 10k gold lead against the enemy team. It should be a very simple game. But in my opinion, we are overcomplicating it. Now, at this point, if you take a look at the gold situation, I have 15k gold. Zed and Pantheon both have 13k gold, and Morgana has now close to 15k gold as well, right? But this is a situation where somehow, despite having a collective 10k gold lead against the enemy team is getting Baron against us. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And this would never have happened if we simply did the Baron instead of going for that weird bush trap play where basically we ended up winning the fight, but two people died at the Nexus. That was just not good, right? Because now enemy team is Baron. They're definitely gonna get at least maybe the 2 outer towers and get the objective bounties on those, and that's gonna get them back into the game. So here we're fighting over a meaningless dragon. I get tossed into the enemy team. I try to ult for the shield. I get exhausted. I pop the stasis, try to survive. I pop my E for invisibility, but it's not gonna happen. Now here, it's Zed and Mundo against the world. They're trying to get something done. Zed is taking a bunch of damage. Poppy gets a triple kill. Honestly, without me there, my team has absolutely no chance in dealing with the tanks, right? Because Poppy, Maokai, you know, and to some extent Singed. It's mostly Poppy and Maokai though. Poppy and Maokai both have Heartsteel. And they have like 2 to 3 items right now. And they're just too tanky for anyone other than me to kill. Like Mundo, Zed, you know, Pantheon, Leona, none of them are going to be killing these 2 tanks, right? So, the moment I'm dead, there's no chance of those tanks going down, and it's just going to be a slow and painful death for whoever they are CCing, you know, to death. So unfortunately, that fight doesn't go too well. At this point, I'm nearly full build. I'm just missing the death cap from my build. And yeah, we're into like the very late game. Elder is going to be spawning very soon at this point. And as I said, you know, enemy team gets 2 objective bounties. Wasn't on the top lane outer tower though. It was actually on the mid lane tier 2 and the bot lane tier 1. Now, the bot lane wave is pushing all the way in, and Maokai is pushing the top lane wave. Thankfully, the bounties do drop because the gold swing from the enemy team was huge. You know, getting basically an ace on all of us and 2 of our towers with bounties. Now it's only really a 3 to 4k gold difference instead of 10k. So yeah, late game team fights can, you know, make a huge difference. Now honestly, I was gonna assassinate the Singe there, but I didn't want to pull the trigger and ult in. Number 1, because Singe puddled me, so I couldn't. But even if he didn't, I didn't actually know where the enemy team was, and one-shotting a Singed who's feeding is not worth it if I'm gonna get one-shot myself directly after. So I'm trying to, you know, stay safe behind my backline. My team is so split up. Like, we need to kind of group here and do this Elder Dragon. Like, Elder Dragon is just going to win us the game, right? So, honestly, we've already thrown the game once by just not doing Baron. Now here, enemy team is coming in. So in this case, we kind of don't have a choice. Now here, I was going for the assassination on Vayne. Somehow, Vayne survives my full combo and on 1 HP. So now here, I have to kite it out and go for the tanks, right? That's all I can do. So here, I'm kiting out, going for the tanks. 3 kills on the tanks. Singe tosses me back in though. I managed to kill Singe before I die, but the 2 carries are enough to kill me, and Pantheon and Zed are the 2 members left alive. Now, this honestly is an insanely good situation. Why? Look at the top wave. The top wave is like a double triple stack wave with 2 super minions at least pushing into the enemy base. The enemy has to defend that wave. They have no jungler, they cannot contest Elder Dragon. So what should we do here? Well, it's a free Elder Dragon for Zed and Pantheon, isn't it? Right? I mean, unless Morgana comes over, plops a couple of puddles and kills both of them, this should be free. So Zed here is doing the correct thing. He's bush camping, and he's going for the kill on Morgana. Morgana gets the stasis off, but Pantheon messes it up by stunning the dragon instead of the Morgana, and Morgana actually kills Zed. So now the situation gets very convoluted because now Pantheon doesn't really want to solo the dragon by himself because he's thinking that maybe he will get killed, which is a possibility. But now our whole team is up. Now we are playing 4v5, right? But Morgana has used her exhaust, flash, and stasis, so I think our chances are pretty decent because she's really the only main threat of the enemy team. Like, Vayne is 3 items now, but she's been kind of useless this entire time. So here is where I believe we screw up, right? So me and Leona are trying to contest Elder, right? We have Mundo trying to push top, which is not exactly a wrong thing to do, but Pantheon is just randomly pushing mid. Like, either decide go Elder Dragon or go top. Don't be pushing mid. And here we're trying our best to kind of put some pressure on the enemy team. Pantheon finally decides that he's not going to push me, he's going to ult top and try to end the game. But the issue is we have Singe defending, and me and Leona can't really stop backs because the enemy team is Elder, so they're just going to one-shot us if we try to stop the back. So here, unfortunately, with the Elder buff, the two of them die, and at this point, I kind of realized the game is kind of screwed because it's gonna be Elder into Baron for the enemy team, and it's gonna be very hard for us to kind of defend and win the game. Now, I'm full build. I even swapped my boots to the Merc Treads, and I'm just thinking like this is kind of done and dusted. So here, the two tanks don't do so much damage, so I'm actually trying to like, do something to them before Morgana or Vayne comes. But Zed is about to die. He's on 1 HP. And yeah, they're not gonna die. So at this point, yeah, I'm thinking that this game is kind of screwed. So I'm just trying to salvage whatever I can. I'm taking the blue buff so the enemy team doesn't walk in and take it. Now I'm full build, so I don't actually need the ground, but I'm actually gonna take the buff at least just so that the enemy team doesn't get the buff. So now here I'm full health. I'm almost full health, almost full mana. I don't really need to back or anything. So I'm just standing around, kind of waiting for something to happen. There's still almost a minute of Elder left to wait out, and it's gonna be a tough one. So we're gonna have to kind of wait out the Elder, and with the Baron, they're gonna be able to push in. We still have basically all our tier 2 towers except mid, and we haven't lost any inhibs yet. So the situation is still playable. Let's just put it that way. Because by the time they push in all the waves, the Elder will be close to running out, and if we can just lose a couple towers, it should be fine. Now, unfortunately, here I get engaged on by Maokai. I'm just trying to out to safety, which is what I do. Zed tries to go in, and here, unfortunately, I get caught out, and Vayne is able to assassinate me, and at this point, I'm thinking that, oh dear, this game does not look very good. So enemy team with the last couple seconds of Elder, do get the kill on myself and Pantheon. Elder buff is like 5 seconds away, but my team is fighting before Elder buff is gone, and everybody basically dies to the Elder buff, yeah, Morgana's ending the game. And unfortunately, despite that amazing performance from myself and my team for the most part, except for throwing at Baron and Elder, we end up losing the game. So yeah, you do take an L every once in a while, or not even every once in a while, but very often. But, I'm still gonna leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.